Welcome back to Markonomics 101 presents Hoot Loot. This is January 23rd. What an incredible show we're going to have today. We're going to learn so much, and the show is entitled Yellen for a Financial Collapse after our new Federal Reserve Chairman, Janet Yellen. She's not a big friend of mine, and I got to tell you this. She's been kind of upset knowing that the show's going to go on. I'm sorry, Janet. What's that? Oh, God, what's that? What? Janet? What? No! I can't hear you! Oh my God. Jesus Christ, that was loud. Wait a minute. Are there helicopters up in the sky? Are there helicopters? Oh, Jesus, that's helicopter Ben Bernanke. Oh my God. Give me a second. We love you all. Hit subscribe and like. We're going to be back to tell you what's really going on in the world. Oh, Jesus. This is incredible. Welcome back, everybody, to Hoot Loot. I know that I can still barely hear from all that yelling, but I'm going to try to make sense out of the world for you today. That's what we try to do. Tell you the truth. I know it's a precious commodity these days. It really is, to get the truth, the actual truth, so you can deal with it, make decisions. You're not going to get it watching cable news. You're going to get mentally ill. It's the leading cause of mental illness, is watching cable news. Anyway, we're going to start with the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And as you can see on your screens, it's I'm calling it a bear flag. And the reason I'm saying a bear flag, it could break up. It could actually go much higher. Today is really a much of a coin toss day. Today's the day you need the magic 8 ball, or you need the sarcastic 9 ball, or you need, I've got a crystal ball, or you need ace. I mean, one of the four is going to give you the right answer, and 3 of the 4 probably not, or I'll give you the wrong answer. But anyway, we're going to move on here. Bear flag is usually bearish. That's why we do think the market is likely topping, but there are reasons to think it's going to go for a while. One being the fact that money is raining down from helicopters. God, I'm going to be more paranoid than I ever was. People always say I'm paranoid. You ain't seen nothing yet. Are they after me or what? Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, so here's the NASDAQ 100. This is the exchange of all of the high-flying, highfalutin tech stocks that, sell at unbelievable numbers that I can't possibly understand, and neither can a normal person. Ace claims to be able to understand it, but, he can't talk English fluently enough to explain it to me. I don't know. Anyway, that was in a bearish flag too. I'm not wild about it. Same with Standard & Poor's. Not wild about that either. Right now, the best place to be is in cash. Cash is nice because you don't stress, you don't wonder what to do, you don't second guess yourself, and you wait for that perfect setup. And, there's nothing wrong with waiting. You're not losing anything. You're not making any interest on those cash balances. So cash is king right now. This is Standard & Poor's small cap index. Most of the action is there. Look how steep this thing is, 40% in 3 months. I mean, that's like a bull market in itself in 3 months, and it was going nowhere. Amazingly, all of these companies combined are worth less than Apple Corporation, believe it or not. And they're not lemonade stands. These are $200 million companies, and they're still not worth what Apple's worth, all 600 of them. The Dow Jones Transportation we put on because it's one of the most important ways of understanding the real economy, not the economy that you're told about out there, not the economy that people running for office want you to believe is happening, but the real economy. And we're politically correct here, so we're going to call them not the trannies, which is what people in the industry call them, but the transgender Americans. We are very, very sensitive to people's feelings. Now, what you'll notice here is it's in a remarkable pattern known as a 7-point reverse wave. It's very hard to identify. Most people don't know this pattern. Very rarely are you going to see a technician or a guy like me identify this pattern, because simply most people don't know it, don't recognize it, don't see it, don't look for it. I do. The transportations are still healthy. Why? I can't tell you. But what I can tell you is they don't have a lot further to go, I don't think. And I don't think means the odds are low. They have a lot further to go. We deal with odds in this business. There's no certainties here. Even when I sound certain, it's because I'm mostly certain. So take that in mind, that it's about odds. So when I say this thing is a reversal pattern, 90% of the time, that's true. Sometimes not. So you got to play the odds. Let's go on to the next chart here. God, I don't sweep very well. I swished it and didn't work for me. Alcoa, I talked about this a couple days ago. This is the largest aluminum producer, or aluminium as they used to call it. And I wondered what the hell aluminium is, but this is aluminum. Notice how it broke on Friday. Remember last Wednesday, if you saw our show on Wednesday, I was telling you that this thing was in a parabolic uptrend and it had already made enough money. And if you didn't take your money off the table, thank the Lord, that you made this much money. Even if you sell next time, unless you bought this thing at the very top, chances are you made money. Be thankful, be grateful. I would be. I'm grateful every time I make money, except when it comes from helicopters and it scares me to death and my dog. So Alcoa right now, not on the list. I'm just showing you this to show that things are starting to peak, and they're starting to peak at parabolas, and that's where you see damage occur, parabolas. All right, so this is the bank index. We've talked about how banks, both negatively and positively over the last few months, most banks look like this, but look at this pattern, okay? I didn't show all the banks. I'll do that next time. But look at the pattern, okay? It broke positively from an ascending wedge. That's in light blue. Almost never happens. Very rare. It gapped up, and now it's making a rounded top. Look at that thing. If it gaps on Monday morning, and it might, because we have a weekend, it's made a huge, what's called an island top. An island top means that all of a sudden a whole bunch of people bought in one certain area and are trapped because they couldn't possibly sell it at a gain. They're all losers. So the question is, when do they sell? All of this in the island gets sold. It has to at some point, and they're going to lose. So those are not good patterns to see. You'd rather see them on the other way around. I think the banks are in trouble. I just don't think they're showing it quite yet in the charts, but this doesn't look good to me. This is Apple. We always got to talk about Apple. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. I wish it wouldn't keep Dr. Dre away because I love him, but I don't like the regular doctors. They're too anxious to find me having COVID-19 and I don't have it. All right, so Apple is probably, I was bearish on it last week, so I'll admit I'm wrong. I screwed up. I really actually was bearish. Apple, it looks like it's breaking out. I wouldn't buy it because you can't really buy low and sell high here, but it does look like it's going to pull the market higher, which in general says to me, we're going to see the market go a little higher, but not much. But we're still rallying here. Amazon has gone positive. I've been talking about how crappy it looked. And look at that. The triangle, it's almost broken out. It is basically at the top end of a triangle. And I had red all over the place. Well, got to change my mind on this. And I got to say, if you love Amazon, if you love it, this is a low risk entry point. If you love it. I wouldn't buy here. But if you set your stop limit, at the bottom part of that triangle, you can't lose much. And you know how this thing flies when it goes. So it's up to you. COSTCO. Another retailer that was doing well, but look at that rounded top. All the retailers looked like they were in parabolic growth phases. And COSTCO is one of the largest, also a Dow component. And look at that rounded top. It's right at support. If it breaks down, that's really bad news. Retail is 70% of GDP. Retail doesn't do well, GDP doesn't do well. So think about that. Ford Motor. Have you seen a stodgier company than Ford Motor in your life? I mean, this is about the stodgiest company I know of. And look at this. All of a sudden, it's a tech stock. It's going parabolic. I can't believe it. Ford going parabolic. But you know why? Janet Yellen. What did she say yesterday? They're going to support electric vehicles, and the government is going to make it one of their priorities to support electric vehicles. And that always is a disaster because once you start subsidizing something, people buy too much of it. It happens every time. Just watch. All right, so we're going to go on to Facebook. I've said lots of nasty things about it. I won't today. Mark Zuckerberg, carry on. They've turned positive too. Believe it or not, this thing I thought was going to break down. It's not going to break down. It's going to go up. Believe it or not. Freeport Copper. Copper has been the most incredible story. I mean, copper has gone through the moon. This thing is about to pull an Alcoa. If you are in this thing, take your money off the table before the table takes your money off of you. It happened to me a million times. If I didn't let that happen to me, I'd have a few more dollars than I have. And Ace would have better dog food than he has. And let me tell you, you can play up a story about that. All right, Google. Never heard of them, but they're looking pretty good too. That's a bullish flag. I haven't said bullish flag about Google or any of these stocks in I don't know how long, but it broke out, made a new high. It's in a lovely uptrend, and there's nothing bad I can say about this chart pattern right here. There really is nothing bad. So this one's pulling it up, and that's why I'm modestly bullish, but I'm going to show you some stuff that makes me modestly bearish coming up. But in general, the market's got a way to go. I think there's stuff pulling it up. Microsoft too. Look at this. I was negative on this. And this thing is in a bullish flag, and it looks like it's just about, actually it did break out. It went just above the top part of its flag on the end of Friday. So this is another one that's going to probably take a little leg up and pull the market up with it. Netflix, same thing. Look at that. All of a sudden just boomed. Looked like it was breaking down, and it came out with an earnings report, and it just went right through the top part of its resistance. Now the thing that's interesting about this, and the lesson to learn from this is this. The market goes with the news. So whether Netflix had bad news or good news, it was going to go up anyway because people were ready to buy it. Too many people were short it when the news came out of its earnings and had to cover real fast. That's why it's boomed up. Now we're going to talk about one of my favorite sectors. I shouldn't say from personal use, of course, but from my good friend Elon's use, the pot sector. Elon, Mr. 420 as I call him, because we're good friends. I mean, he's going to go to Mars. I love that one. We had such a good time talking about it. Anyway, this is called Afria. They bought Tilray to form the largest cannabis company, and look at this thing, almost gone parabolic. This is a perfect case of take your money off the table. In 3 days, you made like 40-50%, and that's good enough for me. I'm so grateful when I get those opportunities. Aurora Cannabis, same thing. This one's kind of coming down. Now, a lot of the cannabis companies don't look as constructive now as they did before. So, I'd be looking to take your profits if you can, or I'd be looking for the next entry point. But you don't want to ride these things down because they're going to probably back and fill and back and fill and back and fill. One of the things you notice about them is they all have these spikes. And those spikes are so hard to trade. They're so treacherous. I'm going to show you Hexo, which has absolutely been impossible to trade in just a minute. Canopy Growth is the largest, was the largest, is second largest. But what Canopy Growth is important, why it's important, is that real money is behind it. Constellation Brands, one of the largest distributors of liquor, spirits, and all the things that make life worthwhile. And now they're going to make life a little more worthwhile. They have the distribution network to put this company all over the map. So that's why people love it. And it's still not priced that high. You can actually make money. This is a new one that we haven't talked about before called Kronos. Now, many of you Star Trek fans will recognize that Kronos was none other than the planet that the Klingons came from. You have to be old as the hills like me to know that, of course. There's a few of us left. I mean, not that many, come to think of it, but a few of us. Look at that pattern. It made a rounded bottom. Those are like the best, most bullish patterns you're ever going to see. The odds of making money long term, very, very high. And so is the use of the product for that matter. This is called GW Pharmaceuticals. This is actually a company that produces cannabidabidabidoo oils, as Fred Flintstone would say, because I can't pronounce it. Cannabidabidoo. But they actually use those oils for medical purposes. They have several drugs being tested with the FDA. We know what that means. That means that, well, I'm not going to say what that means. But this one is actually in a pretty good pattern here where you see green. Unfortunately, there's too many lines I drew on it. But if you see the green part, it says bullish above 145. It looks like it's just about to break 145. If it does, this thing has two things going for it. Biotech and cannabis. So that's a pretty cool combination. Hexo. Notice the number of times I've marked it where it's gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, where it's spiked up like crazy on high volume. Well, this thing is treacherous to trade. But on the other hand, last week we said if this thing goes above 525, buy, don't fear the reefer. I hope you didn't fear the reefer and you bought it because you made an instant 40%. But I wouldn't buy it now. I would just wait for this thing to set up another low risk entry point. So don't get too excited yet. Tilray This one makes me excited no matter what. I mean, look at this thing. This is the weekly chart for 5 years. This broke out barely. You can see the breakout. This thing traded at 300. It came out at 20. That was its IPO price, 20. You know, if Zoom had come out at 20, it'd be trading at like 5,000 today. Well, Tilray came out at 20. It instantly went to 300, and it's traded down ever since, and it just got bought by Africa to become the #1 cannabis company. This thing is going to go. Now, it's going to trade treacherously, so you have to be very careful because it's going to have these swings. But if you put it away in that long-term compartment of yours, you're going to be happy a few years. This is sort of the daily chart of Tilray. Notice that when it broke above 12, that was really what I'd written before, that this thing's going to go crazy, and it did. And we ended up selling around, in the 20s, and then it came back a little bit. This is a junior gold and silver miners, and these guys are probably the biggest question mark on my mind right now because some look good, some look bad. I tend to think with all this money flying down that at some point it's going to devalue itself, and gold and silver miners are going to be a good buy. I mean, I continue to believe that. Sucker that I am. These guys have stayed above their support line. So I continue to be mildly bullish on them, mildly. But, there's some things that have happened that don't make me too thrilled. One of them being Barrick, which is the largest of the miners. And it's not making that good of a pattern. It looks like a long run rounded top. And, I just don't get it. But, you got to go with what the charts say. You can't go with what you think. Don't let your worldview, be what decides your opinion. My worldview is helicopter money's going to happen. But, I can't let that decide how I invest. If I do, I'll get killed. Coeur Mining, we've been pumping this up for a while. It's still holding in there, but not by much. This was another one of those take your money off the table type deals, but it will set up again. The reason I put this in, which is the 20-year Coeur Mining chart, is that it has a long way to go, and you're going to see little, 9 to 8 type moves, but you're also going to see 80 to 90 type moves, or 90 to 120 type moves if you hold it long enough, and enough money gets thrown out of helicopters. Dorado Gold, same thing. It broke down. I've loved this thing to death. It broke my heart on Friday. God, I cried so hard. Oh, Dorado. Okay, all right. Get yourself together. I'll get myself together. All right. Dorado Gold, again, I put the 20-year chart there so that you would see that literally those kind of little breakdowns are nothing by comparison to where this thing can go, especially where gold can go. And that's a lot higher, especially when all those dollars come from all those helicopters. Harmony Gold, this one looks actually pretty good. Fundamentally, it's a good company. I like it. We've never talked about it. But again, wait for the good setup. It's still on support. Close. Very close. Kinross broke down. We've talked about this one too, bullishly. Oh God, I'm really talking about how many calls I've made that are bad. But anyway, Kinross is one that I would still want to own for the long term. It still looks just as good. Just broke down slightly a little bit. And I think honestly, when it comes right down to it, Bitcoin and the fever of Bitcoin took a lot from precious metals. And there were a lot of people like me, really old people like me that were really bullish gold. And I think there's just too many of us. So, the market had to kind of kick us in the butt. Paramount Gold and Silver. This is I put this in. It's a low price stock. It's look at the pattern. The pattern looks great to me. I mean, this thing could go up quite a ways, and that's a weekly. It's a $1 stock. So if you really want to speculate, this is where I'd go. Seabridge has more gold in the ground than just about any other company. If you want to hold gold in the ground cheap, this is the way to do it. Seabridge Gold, and it's holding near its highs. That's a good sign. See, the indexes are kind of going down. Okay, this thing's holding up near its highs. That tells you something. That tells you when it breaks, it breaks. Wheaton, that's one of my favorites, and this is one of my biggest disappointments right now. It looks like a big rounded top, and it used to be called Wheaton Silver, or Silver Wheaton. This is a tremendous company, so we're watching it, but right now I can't say get into it. And then finally, what I want to talk about is the Hong Kong Hang Seng Index. I just read that they're going on lockdown, and I don't know if the market knew that on Friday or not, or when that news became evident to investors. But it's going to be very interesting on Sunday night, Monday morning to see how this thing opens up, after the lockdown. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. I know I enjoyed being here. I always do. I always love having Ace here, and please like and subscribe. The buttons are right there. You have to hit notification though. Believe it or not, it's kind of tough. It's sort of an IQ test. First you have to hit like or subscribe, then you got to hit notification. I know it's an IQ test. I failed. What can I say? But with that, we're going to be back for you next week with lots of interesting stuff. And Hoot Loot is signing off the air. We love you guys to death. Keep those letters coming in.